Puntare Turhende, welcome to a special Women's Day podcast. I am Josie from the Biest, and I will be your segment host, your bold host for the segment of From Passion to Purpose. This is for real a topic that drives me to the core of my being because I, as a life coach and a bold entrepreneur, once you find passion in the things you do, then you know that's your calling, and that will be your purpose. And it's something many of us have experienced throughout the years, that in the midst of doing everything and anything we do, we get this epiphany that it's not bringing passion anymore to the table. So for that topic today, I brought with me my super amiga, Tessa. So embrace yourself for a fun conversation. It can take hours. We'll give it 30 minutes, Jessie. But indeed, Tessa, as Ava mentioned, is a well-known, she started a career in television world, and now you're doing something completely different. Tessa, welcome. I'm so happy that we can have this conversation. Maybe again.
Again. Yes, I'm very excited, and the energy in this room is amazing. And this is what it's all about, you and women connecting through friendships and perhaps new friendships and acquaintances.
Exactly, and sharing stories will be something that helps everybody. Maybe someone in this room find and have this epiphany for their passion. That you feel it, right? You have that intuition, and you know that there's something more that you want out of life that brings us to this second era of our youth, if we call it that way. So I'm gonna start with the first question, right? So as you transitioned from television presenter, which you did amazingly, of course, and that was already a dream career for many people on the island or worldwide, you pivot into a world of baking. Tell me more about that.
Well, many people seem to think that the baking was the reason I started with a company, and it's not. The idea for Drunk Denial is it's basically creating alcohol-infused gourmet foods. And the first logical thing to start off with, because we started in COVID, was baking. That's the only thing you could actually make and deliver. Mm-hmm. So the baking came because it was necessary to launch a concept that I had in my mind for 13 years. The reason for the pivot was because at the end of a career that was, in every sense of the word, a dream, I was not happy waking up and doing the same thing. Being paid ridiculous amounts of money for filming an hour was still so painful in the morning, and I would get a pit in my stomach. I couldn't understand why, because it made no sense at all. And to find out what it was that caused that, I never found out why, but I think it was because I needed to do something different. And the funny thing is, now that I don't need to do it anymore, I figure I want to do it, and that's the difference.
Hey.
But I think there's something in you that calls for something more, a different experience. And maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable. The universe, God, what you might want to call it, makes you feel so uncomfortable in the position because he knows you need to explore something else. Maybe a different calling, maybe something that will give you some different kind of joy, of some kind of stability that you will not get doing what you're doing. Long term, you might not know in beforehand what the plan was, but I think in hindsight you will decide to make sense of it all, connecting the dots. So for me, it was that pain in the stomach when I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I told my mother, and she said, "But this is who you are." And I said, "No, this is what I do. This is not who I am." But because you've been doing that for 20 years, you don't even know.
It becomes part of you.
It's basically your identity, and you don't know who you are without that. And for me, it was, I didn't know what my value was if it was not, being in front of the TV. And for me, going on social media was, nah. Essa mané mostrar algo de minha vida. It's like that's showing something of me that's amateur. I'm not that. I'm professional. I'm not going to do that. And that wasn't, again, it was not far enough from what I wanted to do in order to pivot and do that, because it was just the same thing, but just on a different platform. So, but that question about who am I if I'm not the mother of 4 children, if I'm not, the daughter, if I'm not the
host.
Yeah, all that, who am I? And I did not know who I was. I did a quiz. I literally cried to my boyfriend at the time. I said, I don't know who I am. I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what I used to love as a child. I could not answer those questions.
Okay.
And then I realized it's called Dark Night of the Soul. When it's the search of finding who you are deeper than, surface level, deeper than what you've been doing, your deeper self can become so painful. And it's stripping away the ego because people think, oh, you're doing that, so you can't go do that. And then you start asking the questions, if I'm not this, can I do that? And then you realize, no, I suck at painting, for example. And that's okay, but maybe I can be a botanist. Oh, but then you start answering.
Did you go to that process?
I went through that whole process.
Stripping away the layers.
That whole process. I went to a psychologist. I cried, and then I prayed to God, and I cried. I said, please make this stop. It was painful. It took years.
It was part of the journey.
It took years. Sometimes they say it can take weeks. It can take months. It took years. Yeah. And the funny thing is, this idea that I had in my mind for 13 years, for some reason, I could not put that in perspective and say, stupid, it's that idea that you've had for 13 years. I could not connect those dots. Because at a certain point, I think you're so overwhelmed with the fear that you get succumbed by the fear.
Of not knowing, right?
Of not knowing.
But then it's right in front of you.
It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
So it took that specific boyfriend to say, but what do you mean by drunk senile? So I said, let me show you. I baked a cake. Little did I know, the first cake that I baked was amazing.
They're very good at it.
They were very good. I mean, it's like I would put something in the oven with an idea and it would come out. I was like, okay, am I thinking I'm so great, or is it great? So that someone else taste it, send it to people that don't love me. They would say it's good. So, okay.
We had a conversation the other day that all of a sudden you're making cake.
Yeah.
And amazing cake.
Amazing cake. I would go to bed and say, I want to make something with coffee and coffee mousse. So I go to sleep and I wake up, I didn't have to go to a job. So I'm like, okay, let's go make it. And I just open Pinterest, okay, what do they use for the mousse? Oh, they use cream, they use butter. Poop. I close it up, I'm gonna make it up. So I'm not gonna look at the recipe, I'm gonna do it. Pop it in the oven, do it, taste it. I was like, oh, wow. And I said, okay, maybe because my standards are low, I never baked in my life.
No, they're really good.
They were damn good. So then I would send it to people, and then they would say, Tessa, this is devilish good. I was like, okay, so I guess I should write down the recipe then. So that's how it came about. And I even told another good friend of mine, I said, Christina, I think it feels almost like this, someone else doing this, channeling this, because none of this stuff I'm doing, I know I've never baked, don't tell me, why do I think I can make a new recipe that doesn't exist?
Pistachio cream with
it's like a bunch of stuff. I don't know where it comes from, but what I think is that's it. It's like there is this higher sense that when you connect to it, it guides you to something that you don't know you're capable of.
And then you just
go with the flow.
And you just go with the flow.
You just go with the flow.
There's no planning, there's no plan.
No.
There's no idea, concept creation that you type for hours and no marketing plan. You just do it.
You just do it. And what I do think you need to always connect with is the joy. For me, baking is not something I say, oh, it brings me joy, but it does silence all the negative worry. When you have kids, you have financial responsibilities. That house mortgage, you pay for it. That water bill, you pay for it. The daughter says, oh, I need new this. It's like, you have to pay for it. So you feel the anxiety kicking in not constantly. So in order to connect to your path, if you're not shutting up that anxiety, you're never going to connect to that energy that makes things flow towards you.
How do you transition these fearful or preoccupations when you're baking?
Well, because you have to focus. It's like Pilates. I do Pilates reformer. You cannot be stressed in Pilates. I literally drive to Pilates thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die of anxiety. And I come back 45 minutes later, it's like, this life is so good, It's like no sense of anxiety, nothing. So baking is the same thing. If you're not on automatic pilot where you can be thinking about something else, and if you're baking and you go on automatic pilot, you forget the eggs.
Yeah.
I've done that, and it's a mess in the oven. So you need to be focused. So while you're focused, it becomes therapeutic. And then you shut the hassle, that's nagging negative energy, you shut it up in your mind, and then you start feeling joy. And in order for you to be aligned with the energies of the greater good of the universe, of God, you need to feel good. You need to feel joy. You need to feel tranquility and joy.
Exactly.
Joy is the most important thing.
The purpose is the means to the end.
Yeah.
Is the feeling, the emotion that passion evokes while complying to that purposeful calling, that's the emotion, that's the trigger for you to make that next step.
Exactly. And I think many times, I think as a mother, when they ask you what your purpose is, you're like, okay, why do you want to do this business? I'm like, to feed my children. You know, it's like,
it's more than that.
No, but that's the thing. But it's, you know, you want to feed your children, you want to have the house where the kids can sleep in a delicious bed, and you want to have a, you know, just a comfort and have a nice family life. But you think that that's not enough. But isn't it enough? I think by having that pleasure in being that amazing mom and thinking about your own happiness and your friendships as well, and that joy you find in being a mother and being a daughter and spending time on Sunday barbecues and sitting in events like these with friends, having a coffee, that joy I think should be enough. And being in that moment, connecting to that joy will bring everything you need in your path. And if you ask yourself, sometimes, I've had that a lot, when I think about someone I haven't seen in years, guaranteed, I think about, he calls, she calls, or, you know, in 24 hours, max 48, they call, or I see them somewhere I haven't seen them ever, and that happens and happens, and I said, oh my God, I'm so great. And then one day I realized, okay, so you notice with the positive things, how many times have you worried and it's brought along more worry?
Energy.
Yes.
Yes.
I realized that like last year, I think, or 2 years ago.
After we met,
For
the same reason?
Yeah.
Remember, we just walked in, we're like, I was just about to call you. I was about to call you too. Like literally about to text each other.
Yeah.
But then that's the epiphany, right?
Yeah.
That once you know and you realize that the same way you can create matter into the positive, oh my God, matupatasa ding, superfood. I was just thinking about her. That's the same matter that we bring into life if we manifest our things. Or manifesting could be the good and the less great.
Yeah, and the worry manifests more things to give you stuff to worry about.
Yes.
Like just now, because of course I was listening carefully to everybody that spoke before me, and one thing, like for example, you have like, oh my God, this money, you know, I have this month I have so much money, you know, the commission or whatever, and then the wash machine breaks down. And then you say, why? Whenever I have more money, I think I can do this, the wash machine breaks down.
Yeah.
And then, don't you think maybe the wash machine was just waiting for you
to have the money
to buy a new one?
So be grateful for it.
Exactly. So, you know, it's like just changing that. And I never looked at it that way. It's like, I can never win like this. You know, it's like...
It's the idea of seeing the glass half empty or half full. So the glass should always be half full.
Yeah. And being grateful that you have the money to fix it or buy a new one.
Exactly.
And paying the bills. You know, it's like one thing they say a lot is like when you're paying a bill and then, you know, it's like many times the electricity bill, like it makes you fall off your chair. And then you have to say, okay, you know, I have the money to pay for it. Thank you. And electricity. And then what they say we should do, and I'm really going to practice this year, is whenever you pay something that's a big amount, just picture it coming back to you. Picture it coming, sevenfold. Picture it coming back and bless the money that goes out. You know, bless the fact that you have it. Picture it coming back sevenfold. So I think it fits with Claudine's perspective on things, and that's the one thing I'm going to be training on big time this year.
But
we need more of that coming in.
I believe it's a very strong statement, because as we are transitioning and we're living in full passion and thriving with full purpose, being intentional about our emotions is very important, because as we can manifest great things and as our negative emotions can bring the less amazing stuff, we should be focusing on how to transition all these thoughts and to stay in passion, to stay focused, and to comply with our life's journey. I mean, this is the second life, we still have the fourth to comply with.
Willing. The thing is, it's like, I think because we tend to do so much stuff, we tend to cram our schedules so much, we do not slow down. And then I think we need to slow down in order to hear the whispers.
Yes.
And hear the indications and see them. And meditating, you know, I've been meditating for decades. And I think that's the most important thing we can be doing. Just before I get out of bed, spend at least, 15, 20 minutes, ideally half an hour. But, like 20 minutes for sure, meditating every single day. Like walking can be meditating as well. Yes. Just spending that time when you're just open and quiet.
Do you believe that once you are in that creative state of mind, it helps the one person struggling with making decision, because we all know there's something else we want or we need or we want to comply with or we want to achieve, right? Do you think once you are in the creator state of mind, that it helps you to better listen to your intuition to know what you want to do?
100%. 100%. At the end of the day, we're all creators, in different sense of words. And I think for me, what attracted me to what I'm doing now is the creativity aspect. The baking is just the means to an end. Creating the concept and finding solutions is being creative as well. But if you're in a panic mode, you cannot create. If you have a deadline, I need to make a painting, and then, it's some things you can make on a deadline, but a painting, a wonderful, artful painting, you cannot really make it work with a deadline because you have to pay the bills. So you need to be able to stand still and let everything fall in piece together. But you need to be silencing the mind. If you're not silencing the mind, you cannot hear it. You cannot see the picture. You're in blank, you're in panic mode.
So what advice would you give if someone right now is seeing us and through the podcast or is here listening? What would you advise them to do within one sentence in order to go for that purpose and that feeling?
It's called Ikigai. I don't know if anybody here knows what Ikigai is. Yeah, Claudia, I know you know. Well, Ikigai is essential. It connects you to what you love. So in order to find your purpose and what the world needs, how you fit into that, and of course what you can be paid for within all those things coming together. At the end of the day, we need to get paid in order for us to be able to live. So sometimes we feel, okay, it's not generous enough to have a purpose that's financially abundant. And why? Because I think we've thought, it has to be humble. We have to be ripping the clothes off our backs to give to someone else. And you can give and still keep nice Gucci bag. You can.
Of course.
And it's the more you have, the more you can give. And I think it's that circle that keeps coming back. And the more you get, you have to give more though. It's not take more than you give. Yeah. You have to give more than you take. But when you connect with the joy and the purpose, that's when you'll find that everything flows. And it starts with that question. So if you haven't looked up Ikigai yet, it's an old Japanese way of life. There's many of them, and all of them beautiful. That gives us a beautiful insight into how we should be living life. And I think life has to be lived by slowing down, finding moments of joy in little things. And when you do that, and you still find the rush of having fun times, you will notice at a certain point that you need less of the rush to make you happy. You want more this and less this.
More flow.
More flow. Because you notice the big peaks give you a big drop, afterwards. And I think especially as we grow older, when you're younger, you can do that. I mean, multiple times and you'll be
fine.
You'll be amazing. But when you get older, you feel like, gosh, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. And then you notice that little wave, that's what it's all about. And then you feel joy in everything. And joy is much better than happiness.
And then you just breathe and everything flows.
Yeah. And then you feel it inside. You feel it in every yes. And that's when, hopefully all the abundance will come and all the abundance. And my daughter asked me, she said, Mama, als je één wens kunnen hebben, weet je, if you only had one wish, and what would it be? I said, abundance. And she's like, oh, that's good. She said, because abundance is everything.
Everything.
Abundance is, mama, dat is zo goed. That's so good. I say, yeah, because abundance is everything. I mean, if you're abundant, you're abundant in joy, in health, in wealth, in everything. So I think we should aim for abundance, especially in joy.
So how did this transition from doing TV for so many years into finding passion in creation of bakery goods and opening your own cafe, how did this impact you personally?
One thing I have to say is I've never worked as hard as I do right now in my life, because of what I was being paid for, like an hour of just talking was, in hindsight, I mean, I was really stupid to be choosing this, because this is much more challenging. But for me, the cafe, what it represents is, as we get older, I think one of the most important things people lose is the sense of community. They lose friendships. When you get married, when you're single, you have all the time in the world. Then you have a child, and your friends have children. Then you say, let's go watch a movie, and no one can. And then you stop asking each other to go watch a movie. And then, the friends at a certain point, they get older. So everybody loses kind of that bond. And what they call loneliness becomes a big issue when people are older. And that, I think, is the most important thing we can build, is community. And different kinds of communities give different kinds of friendships. Friendships you have because you do artsy stuff together. Friendships you have because those are your soul sisters. And like today, there's a bunch of ladies I'm sitting sharing the table with. We all know each other. We're not friends, but we know each other. And I think it's so lovely because now I figured it'd be nice if we can see each other more often as well. Because we all have, when we're talking together, we all have stuff that we say, yeah, I wish we'd speak to more people about this kind of stuff, because we're going through more or less the same things. So I think the cafe, restaurant, what you want to call it, for me represents community. I go there to create. I go there to play. So I go there to think about, okay, what new, crepe we're going to be making today, what new this, what new that, and that is creation. Creation is, I think, one of the most beautiful things we can do with our time, because it's playing.
Yes.
We think that as we grow up, we should stop playing. I think we should just be playing with the right things. Maybe not with the wrong things, but choose the right things to play with, and then it's still healthy. Yeah, I know we can all resonate. And then go there to socialize. And one person looked at me, they said, but that's very smart. I say, yes. And as you take off the pressure of going to work and say, no, this needs to perform.
It's not fun anymore.
It's not fun anymore. So what I suggested to someone I just spoke to, and I think this is a good insight to share. This lady used to work for a big company. She had an amazing income. She decided to start her own company, which was going great. And then she gave birth to a child. At a certain point, the child had health issues. Then those health issues, went along for, I think, 2-3 years. She got divorced. The husband went to live abroad. So no, she's just getting whatever, you're obligated to help raise a child on. And she had to stop her company for like 2 years or something. So now she's trying to get back to, relaunching that company. I said, I don't know if it was so smart stopping, that employment with the big company I used to work for. And then I said, before we actually take some pivots, it might be important for us to create a safety net.
Yes.
That income, that steady income, passive income that we know we can rely on, that pays the mortgage, that pays for the basic, utilities, supermarket, those things. So I'm a big advocate for that, and because many times I think we start doing it too late in life. If I could teach my children something, say, as soon as you buy a house, you build an apartment, and you start renting that apartment,
and
do that.
Passive income.
Yes. So that is one thing I think is for sure the biggest takeaway. We need to have that. We need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to be able to take care of ourselves. If you're married, if your husband decides, or if you decide you don't love him anymore, or he's not worth, your time.
That ex.
It happens, and then you can just say, ta-ta, go do your thing, and not being forced into a situation because you have to take it because you cannot do it on your own. So I think we need to start thinking about our future and be able to be totally self-sufficient and not codependent on anybody, because that's when you can make choices to choose to be in a situation and not be obligated to be in a situation. And if something happens, God forbid, something happens that you cannot work, you have something that, financially takes care of you regardless.
Exactly.
So I think that is a big takeaway. And right now, especially before people start getting kids, you have the salary, maybe, you can even have a second mortgage and buy another house with you guys and then have that rented out, that pays. So have a business plan, have that under a business, VBA, think about those things.
I do think more and more in this time of era, everybody is thinking more about the passive income. It's trending. It's trending as well.
Yeah.
I don't think in the 90s the Bitcoin would have picked up at all.
No.
But indeed, this is more the time that if you already know deep inside that, I don't know, you like doing art, but you like doing coffee too. And that you already have that safety net, as you mentioned, so you can do a little bit of both. Have enough to buy your art materials and still do the advocate, working for the lawyer or being the doctor, because there's many people that I've talked to as well, especially women, that once I remember this Ruben lady that stepped in. She was in Holland for many years. She was a notary. And she's like, yeah, traveling the world. And I was like, oh, she was like 35 and she retired because she discovered that her passion is curation of art. So she decided to stop doing notary and went traveling the world to curate art for a gallery. How amazing is that? That she found joy in the things she loved doing when she was a child, right? So we know already what it is that you want extra, or that extra oomph that wakes up us at night and motivate us to be more. So I have a
Follow
question.
the joy.
Follow the joy. As we are celebrating Women's Day, I would love to ask you a reflective question, right? What would you say to women who feel stuck or afraid to change directions?
I think you have to be bold and fearless. I think you have to make the right choices. I wouldn't say just jump into it. Maybe, when you can, create that safety net, that if something happens, you're okay. I think that might be what I would say, especially if you have people are dependent on you. If you don't have that, I'm the person that, I run towards fire. It's like, run towards fire, and, I can scare people with my ambition and ideas. So this is me giving some, responsible advice. But if you don't have children that depend on you, I would totally take those risks now. It's like, if I started investing all the money I earned in my 20s in buying property, I would have been so rich right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be rich later. So
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But I would have been so rich right now, and that's what I want people to realize. That money you spend on buying clothes and buying this and that, it's too much about those things that actually there are expenses. They're not investments. So if we can start taking the money and, of course, putting some aside for the things that bring you joy again, but putting money into something that will generate, wealth. I mean, that would be a game changer for future generations. And I think that's the most important thing. Now, if you have children, you need to think about another plan, of course. But I think you should still make those decisions that give you that joy again.
That feeling.
So you might have to work part-time doing what you're doing, in order for, to make sure you have that paycheck coming in, or start in your free time working on that business plan and start without the overhead of having a space. Like we started, just on the internet. Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's many ways we can start right now without having that big risk hanging over our heads.
I always think to myself that if you are a person that loves cooking and you can defend yourself pretty well in the kitchen, you will never be broke. Because if you can make a good arroz con pollo, believe me, you can sell it on Sundays.
Yeah.
And that adds on to your piggy bank for that purpose, for that passion you want to achieve. If it's traveling the world and you're good at cooking, amiga, vende comida cha domingo. Save that money, and then you can comply and make the dream happen. Because I don't think at all the passion, the feelings you have driving you into that purposeful living should not be taken for granted.
I think you have to ask yourself the question, so what kind of life do you want to live?
Exactly.
Like, for example, I know chefs that have, they don't have a physical restaurant. They just, go and cook. Yeah, no, they cook at, at the Airbnbs. And you pick the dates that you want to, and then you block the days that you don't. And of course, you need to be able to want to be away from home in the evenings and doing that hassle, but you get paid to do that. So again, what kind of life do you want, and how can you create that life? And it starts there.
Tessa, super dankie. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For sharing your story with us.
This was like the two of us hanging.
Normal.
Normal. The normal conversation.
Normal daily conversation. So before we leave, and I would like to ask Tessa as well, leave the question hanging for you ladies in the room. What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for everything that I have, all the abundance that I have, and I'm not going to be Joanie right now. I'm grateful for this, this energy, and this is what it's all about, I think. That energy you get from every single being around you. If you just stand still and be grateful for that boy that brings the bag to your car from the supermarket and what he told you and how you gave him, a little bit more than he expected, and he smiled. If you just stand still and look at all those things, I think you will learn life is pretty amazing.
Life is pretty amazing indeed. I'm gonna leave this question hanging. For you ladies, I'm gonna challenge you to, if you have the note paper from both Christies in front of you, later on in the break, maybe 3 things you are grateful for that you cannot buy with money. That brings a different type of emotion. It brings you closer to your passion and your purpose. So to everyone listening and watching us to our podcast, especially today on Women's Day, I hope we inspired you. I want to advise you to trust your path, listen to your inner voice, it's never wrong, and embrace the purpose waiting to unfold. Thank you so much. Happy Women's Day.
Yay.
Yes. Gezellig. Wat even zeker. Het was zeker wat.